welcome to my channel. What a sad weekend of television has been for me personally. I know I'll be talking about the final season 6 of The Crown, part 2. There was 2 parts of season 6, but I also finished Fellow Travelers on Showtime, and it's also on Paramount Plus. If you haven't seen Fellow Travelers, it's such a good show. It's the best show representing LGBTQ community. It's so good, and the last episode that I watched yesterday broke my heart. I cannot think of my life without Hawk and Tim / Skippy. Their love story was so beautiful and heartbreaking at times. But anyway, let's talk about The Crown. The Crown comes to an end. There was one episode, which I'll get to, that was really sad. And even the last episode too, which was mostly about Queen Elizabeth debating if she should keep reigning or if she should retire. That was a really sad episode too. I thought the last conversation that she had with Prince Philip, her husband, they're at the church, and she was talking to him about stepping down or something like that, and he's like, he rolls his eyes and then mentions about the lot over there, you know, the rest of the family, Harry, William, and Charles, and he says, that lot over there, it's not ready to take over. And then she tells him that she was put in that position so young that she wasn't ready either, and he's like, no, you were born ready. You were one of a kind. And I think that's so true, that Queen Elizabeth was very much what kept that support for the monarchy alive. And now that she's gone, no one is remotely interested in Charles as king. Speaking of Charles, this last season, maybe 2 seasons, felt a lot like Charles propaganda. So I thought it was nice that when Queen Elizabeth is making her speech at his wedding and Camilla's, that she pointed out that he does a lot of charitable work, which he does in real life. So that was a nice shout out to him. On part 2 of season 6, we also see Prime Minister Tony Blair attempt to modernize the monarchy. I thought it was so funny, this scene where he's going through the book of ideas and suggestions of things to do, you know, cut budget here, cut positions here. And the actress that plays Elizabeth, you could see her breathing. She's like, at one point I thought she was going to say, off with your head, Tony. And speaking of modernizing the monarchy, do you think the monarchy is necessary? Let me know in the comments down below. I think the reason the monarchy is so important is because it stands as the ultimate and perhaps only notable symbol of English culture. Even Elizabeth said, she said she's having a conversation with the family, with the senior royals about, you know, things that need to be changed. And then she said, people come here to see the mystery of the royals, to see the castles, to see us. They want to see this magic. So I never understood why the Republicans want to demolish the monarchy, because it brings so much tourism to the UK and it makes it even more relevant. Like, the royals are the United Kingdom's brand. Anyway, we also see how William met Kate. And when I saw the trailer in the pictures before I watched part 2, I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to be interested in seeing this, because I've seen the Lifetime movie. They did one with Harry and Meghan too. I actually think they did 2 with Harry and Meghan. But I did see William and Kate, and I thought it was such a cute movie, and I learned a lot more about their story, their love story. In The Crown, their meet cute romance wasn't that interesting for me. I also thought that a lot of things weren't accurate about how they met and how they became a couple, because we seen the Lifetime movie, and I know it was a Lifetime movie, but even on their engagement interview, they said that their relationship worked because they were friends for so long before hooking up and being a couple. They actually lived together with other flatmates, and then they started to have, you know, a love relationship. And here on The Crown, it seems like they were dating before, because he went to her house, met the parents, and then after, it's when they decide to live on the same flat. And I was like, no, I think they went to the flat as friends, and then a relationship evolved. I also think that the problem of showing William and Kate's story is that as we get closer to current events, feels less historical and more tabloidish. One thing the show did get right was Kate's mom pretty much set up her daughter with Prince William. I was like, dang, man, I wish my mom would set me up with the prince. She was very aggressive on wanting Kate to pursue William. From, you know, I think she was supposed to go to Edinburgh, but then her mom knew that he was going to St. Andrews, so she made Kate go study in St. Andrews. And that whole Chile expedition, I knew from their engagement interview that it's too much of a coincidence for her to do that same expedition, voluntary work in Chile when he was there. I think they only missed each other for a week, but her mom was the one that sent her there. Her mom also told her to take an art class that William was also taking. But hey, kudos to her mom, because in the end, it all worked out the way it was supposed to, I guess. But it reminded me a lot of Al-Fayed when he was pushing Dottie to date Diana. I did like when Kate's mom, she's having a conversation with her, you know, mom and daughter, because she's saying, I'm just a normie, you know, what do you think a prince will see in me? And her mom said, don't ever underestimate yourself. Never think there's anything in this world that you're not good enough for. I love that. I thought we would at least see Waity Katie, the Waity Katie era. If you guys don't know, poor thing, she suffered. If Meghan Markle thinks she's like suffered with the tabloids, does she remember what they did to Kate? They were following her around, cameras all over, calling her Waity Katie because William wouldn't marry her. We do see William and Harry growing apart. And it's also awkward and cringy because of everything that we know now from Oprah interviews, from Harry's book. So the way that we see Harry and William acting towards each other, we're like, oh my gosh, this is the beginning of the end. There's a scene where Harry is complaining to William saying, oh, the tabloids are following me, they're posting my pictures everywhere, they're you know, the whole the Nazi like Halloween costume, and that he's going to like a treatment facility for drugs, and he's saying that they're doing to me what they did to mom. And William shut that down right away. He's like, don't ever compare yourself to her. What they did to her was far worse than this. And it's interesting because Harry many times compared what they did to Meghan was just as worse as what they did to Diana. There's also a scene after they got into an argument, William and Harry, and then Harry goes to William and says, hey man, I'm sorry, that was very dickish of me. And William says, it's okay, let's move on. And I was just like, why can't they do that in real life? Can those boys work things out? Can someone just say, let's move on? Even Charles, their dad, pointed out to Prince Philip, he's on the phone and he's talking about a lunch that he had with the boys, and the boys were going at each other. And he said, they're vicious with each other. And Prince Philip, oh no, it's nothing. That just happened. They're teenagers. And he's like, no, this is different. They're very unkind. Speaking of parenting, you know, between Philip and Charles and William, I love that they showed the breaking of generational trauma, because, you know, when you have generational trauma, it can keep going and going and going, because Prince Philip was so tough on Charles that Charles was tough on William. So when Philip sees there's a rift between Charles and William, Philip reached out to William and they have tea and they're playing chess and they have this really nice chat. And Philip tells William, once you have a son and your son gives you a look, you will be praying you see forgiveness in his eyes. That makes William patch things up with Charles in the garden, and William goes there, gives him a hug, apologizes, and I thought that was so nice, and I hope that really happened in real life. Princess Margaret, we have a whole episode dedicated to her, and it was probably my favorite episode. As I was watching, I paused it and I decided to look up her death, cause of death, and her age. And you know, the first thing like Google says is that she did not take care of herself throughout her life. She was a heavy smoker, heavy drinker, and she had multiple strokes, and then she died, I don't know if it was her 4th stroke or something like that, but she died in her sleep. And Margaret was always someone that lived the life of, you know, live fast, die young. You know, even after her 2nd stroke, she was still smoking and drinking. And the actress was Leslie Manville, I think. Emmy-winning performance. I don't know if she was nominated for a Golden Globe. If not, she deserves it. It was also the sisters episode, and I loved it. I loved to see Margaret and Elizabeth as teenagers, and the actresses that were cast to play them looked so much like the real actresses, Claire Foy and Vanessa Kirby. The girls that play them, spitting image. Like, to me, in past seasons, Elizabeth always felt so cold and more of a character, you know, like that's on a pedestal than a real person. So I love the episodes that we see her, you know, she went to dance with the jitterbug on V-Day. I love that episode because it made me see her more as a human being, and how she gave up that side of herself when she was thrown into the public life so young. I wonder if that may have played in her mind throughout her life, because on the last episode we see, spoiler alert, the other 2 actresses that played her wonderfully, Claire Foy and Olivia Colman. I'm such a fan of both of them. So it's almost like, oh, the ghost of Elizabeth's past. The Olivia Colman Elizabeth, it's, you know, with her at the stables with the horse, and it's telling her that she needs to retire, you know, it's time, you know, she's giving her all these reasons for her to, you know, retire and enjoy the rest of her life, while Claire Foy is telling her that no one can do the job like you do. And Elizabeth says to Claire Foy, what about the woman I lost when I became queen? And then Claire Foy says, there is no Elizabeth Windsor. If you look for Elizabeth Windsor, is it Windsor? Am I pronouncing it right? I'm so sorry. She's like, she's not there. And I loved when our current Elizabeth is giving her Jubilee speech, and she says that a life of service, it's not a sacrifice, it is an honor. And William is watching that speech from Kate's house, and then he says, I have to be there. I have to go and be with her, and then show up in the balcony with the rest of the family. But I think that made him think that, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, being a part of royalty, it's a sacrifice that you make. And I think William looked at that and he's like, no, it's an honor. So this was the end of The Crown. I'm really sad. And I hope maybe in 5 years, maybe 7 years, Peter Morgan, you know, will start doing more of Queen Elizabeth's death, which is really sad. And then we get William and Kate, and then Harry and Meghan. What did you think of the Crown finale? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you are in the United Kingdom, are you pro-monarchy or are you against monarchy? Do you think monarchy is a necessary thing that you guys need? Sound off in the comments below, and if you like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also hit the little bell notification button so you don't miss any future videos, and I'll see you next time.